We both find that union labor in general just has the biggest a crossover in terms of the voting demographic, whether it is in Florida or any part of the United States. If you can talk about the Teamsters, I would imagine that there's probably a lot of rank and file that have supported Bernie Sanders and probably have supported Donald Trump. How would you describe sort of the makeup of, what the Teamsters Union is like regarding rank and file as far as political affiliation is concerned?
You want to know something very interesting? When you look at the voting demographics of the state, it's a third, and a third, just about, right? D's, R's, independents. When I was with ASME, it lined up the same way. The Teamsters, it lines up just about the same way. We have those who are Bernie supporters, and then we have those who are Donald Trump supporters, and then somewhere in between we have people who want to vote for the person who's going to look out for their best interest. And we don't consider ourselves a partisan union. We try to, we are a bipartisan union when we can be. It's it's just that on that other side of the aisle, there's very few people who support your cause, and even people who you think support your cause really don't support your cause. And where we always have that fight, but it lines up like a third, and a third, and we get hell sometimes when we put out our endorsements from certain members. They'll write back some nasty stuff about he's supporting that commie, or it's pretty rough. And Josh, our president, he does a really good job at figuring out how to manage that. And and we've gotten away from saying vote here. Vote for this person. It's like, here's the issues. This one supports this one supports that. You make your choice. I mean, this one supports working people's issues. This one basically doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we have found that in the certain labor union communities that slate card is very important. A lot of people do go in there and vote the card. So the endorsement, even though we know that there's a very big political component to it, it actually does matter. Because there were several times where we saw people walking in with their union cards.
Oh, it does. I tell you what matters for me, even to this day. I mean, look, generally being around as long as I have been and getting as old as I am, I know what candidates I want to support. But where it helps me is with the judges, really, because what do I know from a judge? Our guys do. The labor does a pretty good, thorough job at figuring out which judges are, good judges. That's a little bit of a trickier terrain politically, especially the way they can campaign, what they can do, what they can say, how much money they can take, what they can promise. They're really not allowed to do a lot of advocacy speak, I guess, because they're judges. But it helps me out tremendously. When I go in there, I always go off the palm card to look for the judges.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I have people call me and ask me all the time, like, who should I vote for here? And if I always tell people, if you don't know, just don't vote that particular seat or that category if you don't know. And most people have no idea about judges. It's definitely one of those, which is why I don't think they should be elected. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it goes without saying that we've seen how the labor movement has evolved. We had a handful of, particularly in Miami-Dade, there were a couple of Starbucks storefronts that were unionizing, and we meet these young people, and they're really doing an amazing job. Obviously, as you know, we've built up a decent following here in South Florida. What is it that generational change and people who follow us can do to help labor from your perspective? Somebody who has been in a union for many, many years, obviously has seen how things have slipped, and obviously there's been a resurgence, but maybe in a little bit of a different way. What is it that you think we could do to help you in terms of more or less fighting off not just the right to work laws, but this union busting efforts that just never seem to end?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the both of you for what you do. This is fantastic. I didn't even know this existed. I really do wish there was more of this in the mainstream, because there's not. It's almost as, I feel like, I don't know I don't know what the appropriate word would be here, but it's like labor is never able to get their megaphone out there to really speak to what they do. We've got to figure out how to get a bigger megaphone, right? You're never going to really hear them talk about anything on the news other than the guy that's doing the perp walk because he stole the treasury. Or maybe there'll be some strike, which, back in the day when I was growing up, they would show strikes on TV. They don't show them anymore. They happen, they exist, day in, and it's not a daily occurrence, but there are strikes that do go on throughout the country. There are labor battles, and I just think it's really about just trying to get a bigger megaphone and just trying to get people to understand that you do have a lot more power than you think you do. I think I don't want to get off the question here, but it's not what any one person can do. It's like what we can all do. And I think what's getting lost is that there's no accident that this hatred that we see going on day in, day out, all this vitriolic, you're a commie, you're a this, it's all this, who am I, but what, who are you, but what am I, all that. It's a lot of noise that keeps us all distracted. And it's been purposely done this way because as a white male, Black person, a female, as working people, we all have something in common. We want to take care of our families. We want to provide good health care. We want to retire with dignity. And all that noise out there, I think, is distracting. And it's been like this for 50, 60 years. Keep them divided. Don't let them come together, and don't let them commiserate about how they can come together to really take on, corporations and get a better shake at work.
Well, that is by design.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know maybe I'm not answering your question. It's there's no cookie cutter answer to what you asked. I mean, yeah, it's just mobilizing and organizing, get more of that young people out there and get older guys like myself out there, talk to these youth and tell them how important, having a union is. I mean, it's, we live in a different world now. I'm watching my daughters grow up and everything's off this computer work, what they're, the vision of, what's a real job going to look like at some point in time. And we're losing hundreds of thousands of people in skilled trades that are not being backfilled. I mean, pipe fitters, plumbers, electricians, airplane mechanics. And we still need them.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.